Pride. No MLB team radiates pride quite like the New York Yankees. It isn't just confidence, it's an aura, a mythology, a belief that greatness is the natural state of existence in the Bronx. 27 championships will do that to you, but the Yankees don't just remember their history, they weaponize it. They walk into every season with the assumption that October belongs to them. Even when the roster is clearly flawed or the injuries pile up by April, Yankee fans talk about the franchise the way royalty talks about lineage, with reverence, entitlement, and the quiet expectation that the universe works in their favor. The pinstripes are treated like sacred armor, the interlocking NY like a national emblem. And even in years where they fall embarrassingly short, the attitude doesn't budge. They still expect stars to line up at their doorstep. They still expect broadcasters to center every storyline around them. They still expect the league to revolve around their payroll, their rivalries, their drama. That's the thing about Yankees pride. It's not tied to results. They can miss the World Series for a decade and a half and still act like champions in waiting. Other teams rebuild, the Yankees reload. Other teams struggle, the Yankees underperform. Every slump is a tragedy. Every hot streak is destiny. Their rivals mock them for living in the past, but the Yankees embrace that past like a crown. Because in New York, pride isn't just a sin. It's the brand, the culture, the expectation. It's why every prospect is compared to a legend, why every free agent rumor leads back to them, and why every season feels like Judgment Day. In the Bronx, pride doesn't fade. It echoes. Greed. Greed in baseball doesn't always mean desperation. It can just as easily look like ambition with no brakes. That's the Los Angeles Dodgers. This franchise doesn't simply try to win, it tries to collect everything. Stars, contracts, analysts, facilities, prospects. If it exists and it can help them dominate, they want it. And they're willing to spend whatever it takes to get it. The Dodgers operate like baseball's Fortune 500 company, where the luxury tax isn't a deterrent, but an annual membership fee. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, their acquisitions read like an all-star ballot. And if a superstar becomes available, the Dodgers don't ask whether they need him. They ask whether they can outbid everyone else. Their player development pipeline is elite, their analytics department is cutting edge, yet they still behave like a team dissatisfied with merely being good. They want dominance, headlines, historical footprints. But that's what greed does. It makes even success feel incomplete. One World Series isn't enough. One stacked roster isn't enough. One era of contention isn't enough. They hoard depth, prospects, payroll flexibility, and global superstars because they're addicted to the idea of overwhelming the league. And sure, the postseason has humbled them more often than they'd like, but that doesn't curb the hunger. They just respond by spending more, trading more, and expanding the empire further. The Dodgers don't rebuild, they accumulate. They treat the regular season like a business plan and the offseason like a shopping spree. Most teams chase windows. The Dodgers try to buy the whole house. In Los Angeles, greed isn't a flaw. It's a strategy, a philosophy, and a mission to acquire everything before anyone else gets a taste. And unfortunately, for the rest of the league, it seems to be working. Wrath. If Wrath had a ballpark, it would echo off the metal railings of Citizens Bank Park. No fan base in MLB channels fury like the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a city where emotion isn't just part of the culture, it is the culture. The Phillies play in front of a crowd that can go from deafening pride to volcanic rage in a heartbeat, and somehow the team feeds off that chaos rather than shrinking from it. Phillies fans don't just react to the game, they live inside every pitch. A blown save becomes a civic crisis. A clutch homer becomes a citywide parade. The highs are euphoric, the lows are apocalyptic, and the middle barely exists. And the team itself has adopted the attitude. Bryce Harper stares down opponents like he's carrying centuries of Philly resentment. Kyle Schwarber swings like he's trying to end a rivalry by force. Even the coaches bark like they're defending territory. The Phillies don't play graceful baseball. They play emotional baseball. Hard slides, loud dugouts, chest-thumping hits, and the kind of crowd noise that rattles visiting lineups. Opponents hate coming here because every mistake gets swallowed by boos that feel personal. Every big moment explodes with a raw intensity you can't fake. It's not always logical. It's not always healthy. But it is uniquely Philadelphia. Wrath doesn't just define their fan experience, it fuels their identity. When they're hot, that fury becomes momentum. When they're cold, it becomes madness. But either way, it never disappears. It simmers, roars, and pulses through the city like electricity. The Phillies aren't built on poise. They're built on passion, aggression, and the belief that baseball is a battle worth fighting emotionally. In Philadelphia, wrath isn't a flaw, it's the heartbeat. Lust, No team in baseball has fallen harder for star power than the San Diego Padres. This franchise spent decades as a quiet, sun-soaked afterthought until suddenly they weren't. The moment they got a taste of relevance, they became obsessed with the idea of becoming baseball's next Hollywood attraction. It wasn't enough to build slowly or sustainably. They wanted fireworks. They wanted headlines. They wanted a roster that looked like the back of a video game case. So they went star chasing. Manny Machado arrived first, a statement, then Fernando Tatis Jr. emerged, and the team treated him like a rock star demigod. Then came Juan Soto, the kind of trade that screams desire over logic, and Xander Bogaerts, a move driven more by infatuation than roster fit. The Padres didn't need balance. They needed buzz. They weren't courting players. They were seducing them. Every offseason felt like a splashy summer romance, all excitement and no stability. Contracts piled up, expectations ballooned, chemistry wobbled, and beneath the glitz, the foundation stayed fragile, held together by hype rather than long-term planning. Lust isn't about practicality. It's about chasing the feeling. And the Padres kept chasing the thrill of being the it team, even when the wins didn't match the payroll. They wanted to skip the steady climb and leap straight into superstardom. But like any relationship driven by passion alone, it couldn't hold. Stars got frustrated. The farm thinned out. The front office panicked. Now the Padres looked like a team caught between a dream and a hangover. Lust made them bold. Lust made them exciting. But it also made them reckless. Because in San Diego, the fantasy always came before the foundation. Gluttony. If Gluttony had a baseball address, it would be somewhere between the outfield fountains and the endless mediocrity of the Los Angeles Angels. This team has spent the last decade gorging itself on star power without ever building the structure to support it. They had Mike Trout, one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, and instead of crafting a sustainable contender around him, they kept shoveling money into expensive, aging, mismatched parts. Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, Anthony Rendon. The Angels treated free agency like a buffet where restraint didn't exist. And when Shohei Ohtani arrived, a once-in-a-century gift, they didn't change their habits. They doubled down. They consumed talent without developing depth. They hoarded stars without building pitching. They overloaded on single splash moves while ignoring the diet of fundamentals every other winning team follows. Gluttony isn't just overeating, it's refusing to stop even when you're full. And the Angels never stopped. They ballooned payroll on top-heavy contracts, ignored pitching development, and kept chasing the thrill of one more big signing that would magically fix everything. Trout and Ohtani put up historic seasons, and the team still hovered around .500 like it was a cosmic joke. Injuries piled up, prospects fizzled. The roster got older, slower, and more lopsided by the year. And instead of rebuilding, they kept nibbling on short-term patch jobs meant to prolong a window that never fully opened. The Angels didn't just waste superstars, they overindulged themselves into competitive paralysis. Even now, with Ohtani gone, they still act like another flashy acquisition is the answer. Because gluttony doesn't let you learn. It only makes you crave more. And in Anaheim, more has never been enough. Sloth. Sloth isn't about being bad, it's about refusing to try. And no MLB franchise embodies organizational inertia quite like the Colorado Rockies. This is a team that operates with a level of passivity so baffling it borders on philosophical. While other franchises aggressively pursue analytics, development, scouting, international markets, or even basic roster construction, the Rockies seem content to drift. They rarely trade proactively. They rarely sign impact free agents, they rarely rebuild, they rarely innovate. It's like they're allergic to motion. Their most famous move of the last decade, trading Nolan Arenado and paying the Cardinals to take him, wasn't just a failure of execution. It was a failure of effort, vision, and urgency. And when Arenado left, they didn't start a rebuild. They didn't pivot to youth. They simply stayed the same. Year after year, the Rockies wander through losing seasons with the sleepy acceptance of a team watching the sport from a distance. Pitching issues are ignored. Coors Field adjustments are treated like inconveniences. Analytics are politely waved away. And whenever reporters ask about direction, leadership replies with vague assurances about internal improvement, as if progress can happen passively. Fans call for change, ownership shrugs, talented players break out, the front office treats it like luck. Even their trade deadlines are sleepy. Even their rebuilds feel half-hearted. Sloth isn't laziness. It's stagnation dressed up as tradition. And the Rockies have mastered it. They aren't cursed or chaotic or cursed by chaos. They're simply stuck, content to let the league evolve around them, while they cling to a strategy built on trusting vibes over vision. Colorado doesn't push forward or push back. It just sits still. And in modern baseball, that's the slowest death of all: envy. Envy is wanting what someone else has so badly that you lose sight of your own identity. And no MLB team captures that feeling quite like the New York Mets. For decades, they've lived in the Yankees' shadow, watching their crosstown rival hoist trophies, sign megastars, dominate headlines, and define baseball culture. The Mets want that. They crave that. They want the respect, the rings, the empire, the swagger. And every time they try to claim it, they do it by imitation rather than creation. When the Yankees flex payroll, the Mets chase their own spending spree. When the Yankees build a dynasty, the Mets scramble for shortcuts. When the Yankees land a generational icon, the Mets go star shopping, hoping the splash will rewrite their narrative. The Steve Cohen era magnified it. With the richest owner in baseball, the Mets went on a spending frenzy. Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Francisco Lindor, Kodai Senga, Edwin Diaz. They wanted a super team, but envy has a way of blinding you. The roster lacked balance. The farm lagged. The development pipeline cracked. And instead of building slowly, the Mets tried to purchase a legacy overnight. Injuries hit, chemistry faltered, expectations crushed them. Meanwhile, teams like the Braves built sustainably and passed them with ease. Even their brightest moments, 2015, 2022, felt like glimpses of the life they envy rather than a life they own. That's the tragedy of the Mets. They have the resources, the fan passion, the market power to be great on their own terms, but they're constantly measuring themselves against their neighbor. Envy makes them reach, overspend, and panic. It makes every failure feel bigger and every success feel borrowed. Because in Queens, even the victories echo with a question: why can't we be them? If you like this video, check out this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to absolutely love.